1. Fundamental concepts of assessment and testing. Assessment definition: surveys, observations, interviews. Test definition: purpose of measuring behavior. Measurement and scoring: the basics of psychometrics. Ethics: role of the counselor in test administration. Sure, let's break down the fundamental concepts of assessment and testing into simple terms. 1. What is assessment? Assessment is a way to gather information about a person's skills, knowledge, or behaviors. It helps us understand how someone is doing in a certain area. Here are some common methods of assessment. Surveys. These are questionnaires that ask people about their thoughts, feelings, or experiences. For example, a survey might ask students how much they enjoy math class. Observations. This involves watching someone in action to see how they behave or perform. For example, a teacher might observe how a student interacts with others during a group project. Interviews. These are conversations where one person asks questions to another. For instance, a counselor might interview a student to understand their challenges in school. 2. What is testing? Testing is a specific type of assessment focused on measuring behavior or performance in a particular area. Tests are often standardized, meaning they're given and scored in a consistent way. The purpose of tests is to quantify a person's abilities or knowledge. For example, a math test measures how well a student understands math concepts. A driving test evaluates whether a person can operate a vehicle safely. 3. Measurement and scoring: the basics of psychometrics. Psychometrics is the field of study that focuses on measuring psychological attributes like intelligence, personality, and abilities. Here are the key concepts. Measurement. This refers to the process of quantifying something. For example, when you take a test, your answers are scored numerically to show how well you did. Scoring. This is how we interpret the results of a test. Scores can be raw scores or scaled scores. For example, if a test has 50 questions and you answer 40 correctly, your raw score is 40, but your scaled score might be adjusted to reflect how you did compared to others. 4. Ethics. The role of the counselor in test administration. When counselors administer tests, they have a responsibility to do so ethically. This means they must ensure fairness. Counselors need to make sure that all students are treated equally and that the tests are appropriate for everyone. For example, they should consider language differences or learning disabilities. Maintain confidentiality. The results of tests should be kept private and only shared with people who need to know, such as parents or teachers, and only with the student's permission. Provide support. After testing, counselors should help students understand their results and what they mean. For example, if a student scores low on a math test, the counselor might suggest tutoring or extra practice. Summary. In summary, assessment and testing are essential tools for understanding individuals' skills and behaviors. Assessments gather broad information through surveys, observations, and interviews, while tests specifically measure performance. Psychometrics helps us score and interpret these tests, and ethical considerations ensure that the process is fair and supportive for everyone involved. By grasping these fundamental concepts, you'll be better prepared for your CPC exam. 2. Types of tests and formats. By type of response: subjective, objective, forced choice recognition, free choice free response. Sure, let's explore the types of tests and formats by breaking them down into simple terms. This will help you understand the different ways tests can measure knowledge and skills. Types of tests by type of response. Tests can be categorized based on how people respond to the questions. Here are the main types. 1. Subjective tests. Subjective tests require students to provide their own answers, which means there isn't just one right answer. These tests often assess critical thinking, creativity, and expression. Example: an essay question might ask, discuss the impact of social media on communication. In this case, students write an essay expressing their opinions and supporting them with examples. Grading is based on the clarity, logic, and depth of their responses. 2. Objective tests. Objective tests have clear, correct answers. They're typically easier to grade because the answers can be checked against a key or standard. Example: multiple choice questions like, what is the capital of France? A. Berlin. B. Paris. C. Madrid are objective. Students select one answer from the given options, and grading is straightforward since there is only one correct choice. 3. Forced choice recognition tests. Forced choice tests require students to choose between options. They often assess recognition, meaning students need to identify the correct answer from a set of choices. Example, a test might ask, which of the following is a mammal? A. Eagle. B. Shark. C. Dolphin. Here, students must recognize and select the correct answer, dolphin. These tests can be in multiple choice format or true-false questions. 4. Free choice free response tests. Free choice tests allow students to answer questions in their own words without predefined options. This format encourages creativity and personal expression. Example, a short answer question might ask, explain the significance of the water cycle. Students can respond in their own way, providing a brief explanation. Another example is projective tests, like the Rorschach inkblot test, where individuals describe what they see in ambiguous images. Their responses can reveal their thoughts and feelings. Summary. In summary, understanding the different types of tests and response formats is crucial for preparing for exams. Subjective tests let you express your thoughts. Objective tests provide clear answers. Forced choice tests require you to pick the right answer from options. Free choice tests allow you to answer freely and creatively. By knowing these formats, you can better prepare for the types of questions you might encounter on your CPC exam. By nature. Intelligence tests. Personality tests. Aptitude tests. Achievement tests. Interest inventories. Projective tests. Neuropsychological tests. Let's break down the types of tests by nature into simple terms. This will help you understand the different purposes these tests serve and the kinds of information they provide. 1. Intelligence tests. Intelligence tests, often referred to as IQ tests, measure a person's intellectual abilities, such as reasoning, problem-solving, and understanding complex ideas. Example, the Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale is a common IQ test. It includes various tasks, like solving puzzles or answering questions, to evaluate different cognitive skills. A higher score typically indicates stronger intellectual abilities. 2. Personality tests. Personality tests assess different aspects of a person's character, traits, and behaviors. They can help understand how someone thinks, feels, and interacts with others. Here are a few common types. MMPI-2. The Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory 2 is used to identify personality disorders and psychological issues. It includes true-false questions about feelings and behaviors. 16 picofarads. The 16 Personality Factors questionnaire measures a range of personality traits to provide a detailed profile of an individual's personality. MBTI. The Myers-Briggs Type Indicator categorizes people into 16 different personality types based on their preferences in 4 areas: where you focus your attention, how you take in information, how you make decisions, and how you deal with the world. 3. Aptitude tests. Aptitude tests measure a person's potential to succeed in specific tasks or fields. They help identify strengths and weaknesses in specific areas. Example, the SAT or ACT is often considered an aptitude test for college readiness, assessing skills in math, reading, and writing to predict how well students might perform in college. 4. Achievement tests. Achievement tests evaluate what a person has learned or accomplished in a specific subject area. They measure knowledge and skills already acquired. Example, a final exam in math class is an achievement test because it assesses the knowledge and skills students have gained over the course. 5. Interest inventories. Interest inventories help individuals identify their interests and preferences, which can guide career choices or educational paths. Example, the Strong Interest Inventory asks respondents about their likes and dislikes in various activities to suggest potential career paths that align with their interests. 6. Projective tests. Projective tests are designed to reveal hidden thoughts and feelings by asking individuals to interpret ambiguous stimuli. These tests rely on the idea that people project their own experiences onto the material. Example, the Rorschach inkblot test involves showing a series of ink blots and asking what each one looks like to the person. Their responses can provide insight into their personality and emotional state. TET. This test involves showing individuals a series of pictures and asking them to create a story about what is happening in the images. This can reveal their motivations and concerns. 7. Neuropsychological tests. Neuropsychological tests assess cognitive functioning and can help identify brain injuries or disorders. They evaluate various mental skills, such as memory, attention, and problem solving. Example: the Bender-Gestalt 2 test involves asking individuals to copy geometric shapes. The results can help assess visual motor functioning and detect potential neurological issues. Summary. In summary, understanding the different types of tests by nature is important for grasping their purposes and applications. Intelligence tests measure cognitive abilities. Personality tests assess traits and behaviors. Aptitude tests evaluate potential for success in specific areas. Achievement tests measure knowledge already learned. Interest inventories help identify personal interests. Projective tests reveal hidden thoughts through ambiguous stimuli. Neuropsychological tests assess cognitive functioning to identify brain issues. By familiarizing yourself with these types of tests, you'll be better prepared for your CPC exam. By administration and scoring format. Speed tests. Power tests. Normative tests. Ipsative measures. Spiral tests. Cyclical tests. Test batteries. Parallel equivalent forms. Let's break down the types of tests by administration and scoring format into simple terms. Understanding these formats will help you grasp how different tests are structured and evaluated. 1. Speed tests. Speed tests are designed to measure how quickly a person can perform a task. These tests have strict time limits, and the focus is on completing as many items as possible within that time frame. Example: an example of a speed test is a math test where students have 10 minutes to solve as many simple arithmetic problems as they can. The score reflects how many problems they answered correctly within that time. 2. Power tests. Power tests assess the difficulty level of tasks that an individual can handle without any time constraints. The goal is to see how well someone can perform on complex items, regardless of how long it takes them to complete them. Example: a power test might be a standardized math exam where students can take as long as they need to solve challenging problems. Their scores depend on the number of correctly answered questions, showing their understanding of the material. 3. Normative tests. Normative tests compare a person's performance to a group of people known as a normative group. This helps to see how an individual's scores stack up against others. Example: if a student takes a standardized reading test, their score might be compared to the average scores of other students in their grade across the country. This comparison can show whether they are performing above, below, or at the same level as their peers. 4. Ipsative measures. Ipsative measures focus on comparing a person's current performance to their past performances. This allows for a personal evaluation of growth or change over time. Example: if a student takes a series of personality tests every year, an ipsative measure would look at how their scores on specific traits have changed from year to year instead of comparing them to others. 5. Spiral tests. Spiral tests are structured so that the items increase in difficulty as the test progresses. This format allows for assessing a range of abilities. Example: in a spiral math test, the first few questions might be easy, but as the test continues, the questions become increasingly difficult. This helps to gauge the student's level of understanding and problem-solving skills. 6. Cyclical tests. Cyclical tests feature various sections that are presented in a spiral format. This means the test includes different topics or skills, and each section can vary in difficulty. Example: a cyclical science test could have sections on biology, chemistry, and physics, with questions in each section that range from easy to hard. Students might encounter all three subjects in a mixed format, allowing for a more comprehensive assessment of their knowledge. 7. Test batteries. Test batteries consist of multiple tests that are administered together to measure different skills or abilities. This approach provides a broader picture of a person's capabilities. Example: a test battery for college admissions might include an aptitude test, a personality assessment, and an achievement test. By combining these different tests, colleges can understand applicants more thoroughly. 8. Parallel equivalent forms. Parallel or equivalent forms refer to different versions of the same test that are designed to be similar in content and difficulty. This allows for fair comparisons of scores. Example: two versions of a math test might cover the same topics, but have different questions. If a student takes both forms at different times, their scores can be compared to see if their performance is consistent. Summary. In summary, understanding how tests are administered and scored is important for interpreting results effectively. Speed tests focus on how quickly tasks are completed. Power tests assess the level of difficulty without time limits. Normative tests compare scores to a group. Ipsative measures compare current performance to past performance. Spiral tests increase in difficulty as they progress. Cyclical tests include various subjects with mixed difficulty. Test batteries combine multiple assessments for a broader evaluation. Parallel equivalent forms provide different versions of the same test for fair comparisons. By familiarizing yourself with these formats, you'll be better prepared for your CPC exam. 3. Test development and characteristics. Difficulty index. Measurement of test difficulty. Validity. Types include content, construct, concurrent, predictive, face, incremental, synthetic. Reliability. Test-retest reliability. Equivalent forms reliability, split-half method, inter-rater reliability, internal consistency. Standard error of measurement. Let's break down test development and characteristics into clear and simple terms. Understanding these concepts is crucial for creating effective tests and evaluating their quality. 1. Difficulty index. The difficulty index measures how challenging a test item is for test takers. It helps to determine whether questions are too easy, too hard, or just right. How it works. The difficulty index is usually expressed as a number between 0 and 1. A lower number indicates a harder question, while a higher number means it's easier. Example: if 80 out of 100 students answer a math question correctly, the difficulty index for that question is 0.8, indicating it is easy. If only 20 out of 100 get it right, the index is 0.2, suggesting it is difficult. 2. Validity. Validity refers to how well a test measures what it is supposed to measure. There are several types of validity. Content validity. This ensures that the test covers all relevant aspects of the subject. For example, a math test should include questions on all topics taught in the course, not just a few. Construct validity. This checks whether the test truly measures the theoretical construct or trait it claims to measure. For example, if a test claims to measure creativity, it should ask questions that genuinely assess creative thinking. Concurrent validity. This measures how well a new test correlates with an established one that measures the same thing. For instance, if a new reading test gives similar results to a well-known reading test, it has good concurrent validity. Predictive validity. This assesses how well a test can predict future performance. For example, standardized tests like the SAT are designed to predict how well students will do in college. Face validity. This is more about appearance. It refers to whether a test seems to measure what it claims to based on a superficial look. A math test that asks math questions has good face validity because it appears to measure math skills. Incremental validity. This determines whether a new test provides additional information beyond what existing measures already provide. For example, if a new assessment adds useful data about a student's abilities that other tests do not, it has high incremental validity. Synthetic validity. This combines different types of validity to ensure that a test measures a broader construct accurately. It looks at whether a collection of smaller tests can predict overall performance in a larger area. 3. Reliability. Reliability refers to the consistency of a test. A reliable test will produce similar results under consistent conditions. Here are some common types of reliability. Test-retest reliability. This checks if the same test produces similar results when taken at two different times. For example, if a student takes the same math test twice and scores similarly both times, the test has high test-retest reliability. Equivalent forms reliability. This compares two different versions of the same test to see if they yield similar results. For instance, if a student takes two different forms of a language test and scores similarly, both forms are considered reliable. Split half method. This involves dividing a test into two halves and comparing the scores. If a student scores similarly on both halves, it indicates high reliability. 4. Example: if the first half of a reading comprehension test correlates closely with the second half, the test is reliable. Inter-rater reliability. This measures how consistently different raters or judges score the same test. For instance, if two teachers grade the same essay and give similar scores, there is high inter-rater reliability. Internal consistency. This assesses how well the items on a test measure the same construct. Two common methods include Kuta-Richardson, used for tests with binary answers. Cronbach's alpha, used for tests with multiple choice or open-ended questions. A higher score indicates good internal consistency. 4. Standard error of measurement. The standard error of measurement helps to understand the accuracy of an individual's test score. It shows how much a person's observed score might differ from their true score. How it works. A lower SEM means the test score is more reliable, while a higher SEM suggests more uncertainty around the score. For example, if a student scores 85 on a test with an SEM of 3, their true score could be anywhere from 82 to 88. Summary. In summary, understanding test development and characteristics is essential for creating and evaluating effective assessments. Difficulty index measures how hard questions are. Validity ensures tests measure what they are supposed to measure, with several types. Reliability refers to the consistency of test results, including test-retest, equivalent forms, split half, inter-rater, and internal consistency. Standard error of measurement indicates the accuracy of a test score. By knowing these concepts, you'll be better prepared for your CPC exam. 4. Intelligence testing. Meaning of IQ, intelligence quotient. History and development. Alfred Binet and Theodore Simon. Lewis Terman. David Wechsler. Normal distribution of intelligence. Intelligence index. Ratio IQ versus deviation IQ. Standard scoring scales. Group versus individual intelligence tests. Culture fair intelligence tests. Controversies. Intelligence and race. Application in different age groups. Infants, children, adults. Let's break down the topic of intelligence testing into clear and simple terms. This will help you understand what IQ means, how it developed, its measurement, and the controversy surrounding it. 1. Meaning of IQ. IQ stands for intelligence quotient. It is a score derived from standardized tests designed to measure human intelligence. IQ tests assess various cognitive abilities, such as reasoning, problem solving, and understanding complex ideas. 2. History and development. The history of IQ testing involves several key figures and developments. Alfred Binet and Theodore Simon. They created the first practical IQ test in France. The Binet-Simon scale aimed to identify children who needed extra help in school. It measured mental age, which is the age at which a child is performing intellectually. Lewis Terman. Terman adapted Binet's test for use in the United States and developed the Stanford-Binet Intelligence Scale. In this version, the IQ score is calculated by dividing a person's mental age by their chronological age and multiplying by 100. This formula helped standardize IQ testing in America. David Wechsler. He developed several IQ tests, including WAIS for adults, WISC for children aged 6 to 16, WPPSI for preschoolers aged 2.5 to 7. The Wechsler tests focus on different aspects of intelligence and provide a more comprehensive assessment. 3. Normal distribution of intelligence. Normal distribution is a statistical concept that describes how many people score within certain ranges on an IQ test. Most people score close to the average, while fewer people score very low or very high. Example: in a normal distribution, an IQ of 100 is considered average, while scores between 85 and 115 are seen as typical. Scores below 70 may indicate intellectual disabilities, and scores above 130 are often considered gifted. 4. Intelligence index. Ratio IQ versus deviation IQ. There are two main ways to calculate IQ scores. Ratio IQ. This is the original method used by Binet and Terman. It compares mental age to chronological age. For example, if a 10-year-old child has a mental age of 12, their IQ would be x 100 is equal to 120. Deviation IQ. This method, used in modern tests, compares an individual's score to the average score of their age group. For example, if a person's score is higher than the average score for their age group, their IQ is higher than 100. This method is more reliable because it accounts for variations in intelligence across different age groups. 5. Standard scoring scales. Standard scoring scales provide a way to interpret IQ scores more meaningfully. The scores are typically adjusted so that the average score is set at 100 with a standard deviation of 15. This means most scores will fall between 85 and 115. A score of 130 or above indicates superior intelligence, while a score of 70 or below may indicate intellectual challenges. 6. Group versus individual intelligence tests. Group tests. These are administered to many people at the same time. They are usually multiple choice and can be given in schools or organizations. They are efficient but may not provide as much detailed information about an individual. Individual tests. These are given one-on-one, often by a trained psychologist. They allow for a more thorough assessment and can adapt to the test taker's responses, providing a more accurate picture of their abilities. 7. Culture-fair intelligence tests. Culture-fair intelligence tests are designed to minimize the influence of cultural and social factors. They aim to assess intelligence without bias toward any specific culture or background. Example, tests that use nonverbal tasks, such as puzzles or pattern recognition, can be more equitable because they rely less on language and cultural knowledge. 8. Controversies, intelligence, and race. There have been significant controversies regarding IQ testing, particularly concerning race and intelligence. Some key figures include Arthur Jensen. He argued that differences in IQ scores among races are largely genetic. This view has been widely criticized for its implications and for ignoring environmental factors. Robert Williams. He countered Jensen's views by emphasizing the importance of culture and environment in shaping intelligence. He developed tests like the Black Intelligence Test of cultural homogeneity to demonstrate that standard IQ tests may not accurately reflect the abilities of African American individuals. 9. Application in different age groups. IQ tests are used across various age groups. Infants. Tests for infants assess developmental milestones, such as motor skills and language abilities. They help identify early developmental delays. Children. For children, IQ tests can help identify strengths and weaknesses in learning and guide educational interventions. Adults. In adults, IQ tests can be used for various purposes, such as assessing cognitive abilities for job placements or academic programs. Summary. In summary, intelligence testing is a complex field with a rich history and significant implications. IQ measures cognitive abilities and is calculated using various methods. Key figures like Binet, Terman, and Wechsler contributed to the development of IQ tests. Normal distribution helps understand IQ scores in the population. Ratio IQ and deviation IQ are methods of calculating scores. Standard scoring scales provide context for interpreting IQ results. Tests can be administered in groups or individually, and culture-fair tests aim to minimize bias. Controversies exist regarding the relationship between intelligence and race, with differing viewpoints on the impact of genetics and environment. IQ testing is applicable to different age groups, helping to assess developmental and cognitive abilities. Understanding these concepts will help you prepare for your CPC exam. 5. Personality testing. Self-report measures, objective tests. Projective tests. Underlying theories, psychodynamic, Jungian, Cattell. Let's break down the topic of personality testing in simple terms. This will help you understand the different methods of personality assessment, the types of tests used, and some foundational theories behind these tests. 1. Self-report measures. Self-report measures are tests where individuals provide information about themselves, usually through answering questions or statements. These measures can be objective, meaning they have standardized questions with clear scoring methods. A. Objective tests. Objective tests use structured questions and are designed to assess specific personality traits consistently. Here are some common objective tests. MMPI-2. This is one of the most widely used personality tests. It consists of true-false questions that help identify personality traits and potential psychological disorders. The MMPI-2 includes scales that measure various aspects of personality, such as anxiety, depression, and social introversion. 16 picofarads. Developed by Raymond Cattell, this test assesses 16 different personality traits, such as warmth, reasoning, emotional stability, and dominance. The 16 picofarads helps provide a comprehensive profile of an individual's personality. MBTI. Based on Carl Jung's theories, this test categorizes people into 16 personality types based on 4 dichotomies: extroversion versus introversion, sensing versus intuition, thinking versus feeling, judging versus perceiving. The MBTI helps individuals understand their preferences in how they interact with the world, make decisions, and process information. 2. Projective tests. Projective tests are a different approach to personality assessment. Instead of direct questions, these tests use ambiguous stimuli to elicit responses that reveal underlying thoughts and feelings. The idea is that individuals project their own beliefs and emotions onto the stimuli. A. Common projective tests. Rorschach inkblot test. This test involves showing a series of ink blots to individuals and asking them what each blot looks like or reminds them of. The responses are analyzed to gain insight into the person's personality and emotional functioning. For example, someone who sees a butterfly in an ink blot might be interpreted as having a positive outlook, while someone who sees a monster might have different emotional concerns. TT. In this test, individuals are shown a series of pictures that depict various scenes. They are asked to create a story about what is happening in each picture. The stories are then analyzed for themes, motivations, and conflicts that may reveal aspects of the person's personality. 3. Underlying theories. Different personality tests are based on various psychological theories that explain how personality is formed and expressed. Here are some key theories. A. Psychodynamic theory. Developed by Sigmund Freud, psychodynamic theory emphasizes the influence of the unconscious mind and childhood experiences on personality. It suggests that many of our thoughts and behaviors are driven by unconscious motives and conflicts. Projective tests like the Rorschach and TET are often rooted in psychodynamic principles, as they aim to uncover hidden feelings and desires. B. Jungian theory. Carl Jung, a student of Freud, proposed that personality is shaped by both conscious and unconscious elements. According to Jung, individuals have different psychological types based on their preferences. He introduced concepts like introversion and extroversion, which are central to understanding personality differences. See Cattell's theory. Raymond Cattell focused on identifying specific traits that make up personality. He believed that personality could be measured through various traits that can predict behavior in different situations. His 16 picofarads test is based on this approach, as it assesses various traits that contribute to an individual's overall personality profile. Summary. In summary, personality testing is a valuable tool for understanding individual differences in behavior, thoughts, and emotions. Here are the key points to remember. Self-report measures. These involve individuals providing information about themselves through structured tests like the MMPI-2, 16 picofarads, and MBTI. Projective tests. These use ambiguous stimuli to reveal underlying thoughts and feelings, with common examples including the Rorschach and TET. Underlying theories. Different tests are based on various psychological theories. Psychodynamic theory focuses on unconscious influences. Jungian theory emphasizes personality types and preferences. Cattell's theory identifies specific traits that shape behavior. Understanding these concepts will help you prepare for your CPC exam and grasp the complexities of personality assessment. 6. Aptitude and achievement testing. Definitions: aptitude versus achievement. Examples: GRE, SAT, MCAT, LSAT, ONET. Differentiating aptitude and achievement. Let's break down the topic of aptitude and achievement testing into simple terms. This will help you understand the differences between these two types of tests, their purposes, and some common examples. 1. Definitions. Aptitude testing. Definition. Aptitude tests measure a person's potential to succeed in a particular area or skill. They predict how well someone might perform in the future based on their abilities. Purpose. These tests assess natural talents or strengths rather than what a person has already learned. For example, an aptitude test might help determine if someone has the potential to excel in math or music. Achievement testing. Definition. Achievement tests measure what a person has already learned or accomplished in a specific subject. They assess current knowledge and skills. Purpose. These tests evaluate how much someone knows about a certain topic or how well they can perform tasks based on their education and experience. For example, a history test given at the end of a course measures how much students have learned throughout the class. 2. Examples of tests. Here are some common examples of aptitude and achievement tests. Aptitude tests. GRE. This test is often required for admission to graduate schools. It measures verbal reasoning, quantitative reasoning, and analytical writing skills, predicting how well students will perform in graduate-level courses. SAT. This college admission test assesses students' readiness for college by evaluating their skills in reading, writing, and math. It is designed to predict how well students will do in college. MCAT. This test is required for medical school admission. It measures skills in biological and physical sciences, as well as critical thinking and reasoning, predicting success in medical education. ONET. This is a resource that provides information about different occupations, including the skills and abilities needed for various jobs. It helps individuals assess their aptitudes in relation to specific careers. LSAT. This test assesses reading comprehension and logical reasoning skills, predicting how well students will perform in law school. Achievement tests. Standardized tests in schools. These tests measure what students have learned in subjects like math, reading, and science. Examples include state assessments or end-of-course exams that evaluate students' knowledge at the end of a school year. Final exams. Many courses have final exams that assess what students have learned throughout the term. These tests evaluate students' understanding of the course material. 3. Differentiating aptitude and achievement. To differentiate between aptitude and achievement tests, consider the following points. Focus. Aptitude tests focus on potential and future performance. They predict how well someone could succeed in a specific area based on their natural abilities. Achievement tests focus on current knowledge and skills. They measure what someone has already learned and how well they can apply that knowledge. Purpose. Aptitude tests help identify strengths and weaknesses, guiding individuals towards suitable career paths or educational opportunities. Achievement tests assess learning outcomes, helping educators understand how well students grasp the material and what they need to improve. Example. Aptitude test example. The SAT predicts college readiness based on skills in critical reading, math, and writing. Achievement test example. A final exam in a math class assesses how well students understood the concepts taught during the course. Summary. In summary, understanding the differences between aptitude and achievement tests is crucial for assessing potential and current abilities. Aptitude testing measures potential and predicts future performance based on natural abilities. Achievement testing measures what has been learned and assesses current skill levels. Common examples of aptitude tests include the GRE, SAT, MCAT, LSAT, and ONET, while achievement tests include standardized school tests and final exams. By grasping these concepts, you'll be better prepared for your CPC exam and for understanding how different tests assess abilities and knowledge. 7. Other relevant topics. Test bias, origins and cultural norms. Ethics in testing, Buckley Amendment FERPA. Test research, Burroughs Mental Measurements Yearbook, Professional Journals. Current trends in testing, computer-assisted testing, interpretations. Critiques of interest tests, emphasis on professional jobs. Cross-validation, techniques for ensuring validity. Response phenomena, social desirability, acquiescence. Let's break down the topic of other relevant topics in testing into simple terms. This will help you understand important concepts related to test bias, ethics, research, current trends, critiques, and response phenomena. 1. Test bias. Test bias refers to unfair advantages or disadvantages that certain groups may experience on a test due to cultural norms or values. Origins and cultural norms. Tests can be biased if they reflect the values, language, or experiences of one cultural group more than others. For instance, if a test uses idioms or references that are familiar only to a certain group, individuals from different backgrounds might struggle to understand those questions, even if they have the same abilities. Example. An example of this would be a standardized test that includes questions about sports or cultural references that are common in one region, but not in another. If students from a different culture find these questions confusing, it could unfairly lower their scores. 2. Ethics in testing. Ethics in testing involves ensuring fairness, respect, and privacy in the testing process. Buckley Amendment FERPA, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, often referred to as the Buckley Amendment, protects the privacy of student education records. It gives students the right to access their records and control who can see their information. This means that sensitive information from tests cannot be shared without the student's permission. Example. If a school administers a personality test, they must ensure that the results are kept confidential and only accessible to the student and authorized personnel, like teachers or counselors. 3. Test research. Involves the study and evaluation of tests to ensure they are valid and reliable. Burroughs Mental Measurements Yearbook. This is a comprehensive resource that reviews psychological tests and measures. It provides information about the purpose, reliability, and validity of various tests, helping professionals choose the right assessments. Professional journals. These are publications where researchers share findings about testing, including studies on new tests, methodologies, and the impact of assessments on different populations. Example. A psychologist might refer to the Burroughs Mental Measurements Yearbook to find reliable tests for measuring intelligence or personality traits for their clients. 4. Current trends in testing. Current trends in testing refer to new developments and technologies in the field of assessment. Computer-assisted testing. Many tests are now administered via computers, which provide immediate scoring and feedback. This makes it easier to gather and analyze. Results. Interpretations. Technology allows for more sophisticated interpretations of test results. For instance, computer programs can analyze patterns and responses to provide insights into a person's personality or abilities. Example. A college admissions test that is taken online can adapt its difficulty based on the test taker's answers, ensuring a more accurate assessment of their abilities. 5. Critiques of interest tests. Critiques of interest tests focus on concerns about how these tests are used, particularly regarding their emphasis on professional jobs. Some argue that interest tests, which help individuals identify potential career paths based on what they enjoy, may overly prioritize professional or high-status jobs. This can limit individuals' views of their own potential and the variety of careers available to them. Example. An interest test might suggest that a student should pursue a career in medicine or law based on their answers, while neglecting other fulfilling paths like teaching or the arts, which could also be a good fit for them. 6. Cross-validation. Cross-validation is a technique used to ensure that a test is valid across different populations or settings. This involves testing the same assessment in various groups and comparing results. If a test shows similar outcomes in different settings, it is considered to have strong validity. Example. If a new intelligence test is given to students in different schools and consistently produces similar scores, it suggests that the test is valid and can be used broadly. 7. Response phenomena. Response phenomena refer to factors that can influence how people respond to tests. Social desirability. This is the tendency for people to answer questions in a way that they think will be viewed favorably by others. For instance, when asked about their habits, a person might exaggerate how often they exercise to appear healthier. Acquiescence. This is the tendency for respondents to agree with statements or questions, regardless of their true feelings. For example, someone might agree with most items on a test simply to avoid conflict or because they believe it's the expected response. Example. In a personality test, If a respondent tends to agree with positive statements about themselves, it could lead to an inflated view of their personality traits. Summary. In summary, understanding these relevant topics in testing is vital for grasping the complexities of assessments. Test bias can unfairly affect individuals from different cultural backgrounds. Ethics in testing ensures privacy and fairness in how tests are administered and scored. Test research provides valuable information about the effectiveness and appropriateness of various tests. Current trends in testing include advancements like computer-assisted testing and improved interpretations. Critiques of interest tests highlight concerns about focusing too much on professional careers. Cross-validation helps ensure that tests are valid across different populations. Response phenomena can influence how people answer tests, affecting the accuracy of results. By understanding these concepts, you'll be better prepared for your CPC exam and able to appreciate the nuances of testing in psychology and education. 8. Professional organizations. Association for Assessment and Research in Counseling. Let's break down the Association for Assessment and Research in Counseling into simple terms. This organization plays a significant role in the field of counseling and assessment, and understanding it can be helpful for your CPC exam. 1. Overview of ARC. The Association for Assessment and Research in Counseling is a professional organization that focuses on improving the practices of assessment and research in the field of counseling. It provides a platform for professionals to share knowledge, resources, and best practices related to assessment tools and research methods. 2. Key objectives of ARC. ARC has several important goals. Promote best practices. The organization aims to promote high standards in the assessment processes used in counseling. This includes ensuring that tests and measurements are valid, reliable, and ethically administered. Enhance professional development. ARC offers resources and training opportunities for counselors and researchers to improve their skills in assessment and research. This can include workshops, conferences, and publications. Encourage research. A key focus of ARC is to support and encourage research in the field of counseling assessment. This research can lead to the development of new assessment tools and methods, helping professionals provide better services to clients. Advocacy. ARC advocates for the importance of assessment in counseling practices. It works to raise awareness about how effective assessment can improve client outcomes and enhance the overall field of counseling. 3. Membership benefits. Being a member of ARC comes with several benefits. Access to resources. Members gain access to research articles, assessment tools, and best practice guidelines that can help them in their work. Networking opportunities. ARC provides opportunities for professionals to connect with others in the field, share experiences, and collaborate on research projects. Professional development. Members can participate in training sessions, webinars, and conferences that focus on new developments in assessment and research. Publication opportunities. Members can contribute to ARC's publications, sharing their research and insights with a broader audience. 4. Conferences and publications. ARC hosts conferences that bring together professionals from various backgrounds in counseling and assessment. These events often feature workshops, practical sessions where members can learn new skills and techniques related to assessment and research. Presentations. Experts in the field share their findings and insights on various topics, providing valuable information to attendees. Publications. ARC publishes a journal that includes research articles, reviews, and discussions about current trends and practices in assessment. This journal is a valuable resource for professionals looking to stay updated in the field. 5. Importance of ARC in counseling. The ARC plays a vital role in ensuring that assessment practices in counseling are effective, ethical, and evidence-based. By promoting high standards and encouraging research, ARC helps improve the quality of services that counselors provide to their clients. Summary. In summary, the Association for Assessment and Research in Counseling is a professional organization dedicated to advancing the field of counseling through better assessment practices and research. Here are the key points to remember. ARC promotes best practices in assessment and research within counseling. It offers resources, training, and networking opportunities for members. The organization advocates for the importance of effective assessment in improving client outcomes. ARC hosts conferences and publishes a journal to share knowledge and developments in the field. Understanding the role and significance of ARC will help you appreciate the importance of professional organizations in enhancing the quality of counseling practices as you prepare for your CPC exam.